Are Tomb King skeleton archers any good in patch 5.2? Now, let's get this out of the way. You have not seen skeleton archers unless you've used them with Khalida. That's artistic exaggeration. Even with Cetra, they are solid troopers, and give you a capability almost literally impossible to get with vampire accounts. And Coast, most of that is direct fire. Being able to fire over your meatless meat shields is a Tomb King's staple. All these food metaphors have made me hungry for stats, so let's dig in. Recruited from even the basic infantry building, which is important because you get them as collateral benefit if you're going after Tomb Guard, skeleton archers come in at 120 entities per unit on Ultra with 6,840 health between them, which is significantly lower than what frontline skeletons get unit-wide. Armor is 20, no shields, leadership a measly 35, speed 31, chart speed 35. Melee attack starts with a mighty, highly impressive 10, with an attack interval of 4. There is no splash damage. Melee defense starts at a resilient 14, and yes, there is some mild, lightweight sarcasm at work. Weapon strength is 20, split between base 17 and armor piercing 3, charge bonus of 3, mass of 80. The lack of meat detracts from the mass. Well, whatever, this is all about the ranged anyway. Ammunition starts at 22 volleys, an old venerable number. Range is 140, and I want to stop and point to this number and say it's quite literally the midpoint between Empire Archers and Empire Crossbowmen. Missile damage is officially 14, split between base 10 and armor piercing 1. Therefore, do not expect any kind of armor piercing value from this unit except the most token possible. And if it's Scarbrand, you'll shoot him anyway just because, okay? Every little bit helps with him. Reload time begins at 8. Considering the range, that's a low reload time, and lower is better. Total accuracy starts at 20, calibration distance of 110 is very healthy. Calibration area of 4.6 is the opposite of pinpoint, but crossbowmen are worse. There is no arrow penetration. The unit causes fear, can hide in forest, has undead features like benefiting from Realm of Souls healing, and that's it. That is to say, no fire whilst moving. That's important to remember. And they don't fire behind them in case you actually use skirmish mode. In the Redlands skills, Arrows of Asaph adds at 3 pips plus 20% ammunition and plus 8% missile strength. Percentile increases like this are split across the damage ratio. That is, it's not 10 being increased by 8%, it's 11. So you actually will get 1 point more base damage from just that. Rank 7 Lucky Ducklings benefit from Blessing of the Asp, providing 15% more ammunition, missile strength plus 12%, and missile resistance 15%, in turn, to be a little less vulnerable to being shot to bone pieces. Any of the generic Tomb Kings picking this, plus Khalida, can get Asaph the Goddess of Magic and Vengeance, and besides the cool name, that gets you plus 12% missile strength for Sepulchral Stalkers and the Humble Skeleton Archers too. Oh, and Khalida makes even the skeleton archers in her personal army cause poison, including with the arrows. It helps. The speed debuff alone helps. In the tech tree Wisdom of the Second Dynasty, the Quickening adds 15% more ammunition and grants 10% reload time reduction. Bone Edifice adds 15 armor to skeleton archers and 10% more missile strength. There's a special herald to increase armor piercing if you're distant from the foe, but here the armor piercing is 1 point per arrow, so you're unlikely to see much from it. In contrast, that's a vast, almost stupidly broken increase in ammunition, and the missile strength, 10% reload time reduction, and even the marginal increase to toughness makes skeleton archers into interestingly legit low-end missile troops. They are also your only foot infantry archers that are actually undead, but they do a lot for you. I won't belabor much about how to use them because, I mean, come on, they're archers, they shoot stuff. But it's important to go back and underline their strengths, not just their weaknesses. Yes, it's tough against Tomb King's infantry in mirror matches, but without fanfare or dramatic visual effects, anything unshielded and low armor, and to a lesser extent, shielded and low armor, will get shredded. Among easy examples of the former, we have Pistoliers, Outriders, Warhounds, Zombies, Flagellants, Slayers of basically every variety, Demonettes, although they have physical resistance, Halberdiers, Empire Spearmen without shields, Elven Rangers, Nasty Skulkers, Peasant Long Spearmen, Peasant Archers, Peasant Bowmen, Ungor Raiders, Ungor Spearmen, Gor Herd, Skink Skirmishers. Normal shielded troops would be your swordsmen, spearmen with shields, orc boys, goblins, skink cohorts, skeleton warriors for counts, stuff like that. Unshielded medium troops include your own nahhhh warriors and stuff like that, so there's little reason not to pincushion them either. It's only once you get to high elf spearmen, anything dwarf with shields, dark elf stuff with shields, that's when stuff gets rough. Even source warriors with shields are somewhat reasonable targets. Point being, skeleton archers are absolutely near worthless against some targets in the game, but even then they'll keep plinking away. Even with reload time reduction, it takes a while to go through something like 30 ammunition as an archer unit. For such little fanfare, for such seemingly low impact, these guys really rack up the damage, giving you a steady source of DPS against an awful lot of targets. This is why the skeleton archers are fundamental to the Tomb Kings. They give you something tangible for your frontline to protect, they are reliable anti-air, you expect people to go for them, so unless you're like me and forget about that other Tomb Kings can summon Ushabti too, you can plan for the attacks on the back lines, like YOLOing Bargeist love to try. Furies go down in droves despite their recent buffs, bats have no shields, Pterodon riders get utterly shredded in a frontal confrontation. You can get a stupid amount of value for the quote-unquote free skeleton archers, easy to replace, and mostly making you cry about the XP chevrons you lost. They are the silent unsung heroes of the faction, always there, always drawing bowstrings, and adding to death on the sands. They play nice with war kitties and other monsters on your side, and just act as force multipliers over and over again. And the sheer volume of fire gives you something to run back to when your skirmishers draw the enemy's hounds, bats, and so forth, trying to munch on their bones. That's the long and short of it. You don't even need a lot of the buffs to make a lot of use of them, just ordinary care. The buffs just make them even better. Also, as a construct-loving faction, you need to keep in mind how to deal with slayers, and shooting them in the chest is preferable to many alternatives. Take care, and have fun giving your opponents their daily lethal dose of calcium.